My name is Abby Trott. I voice Nezuko in Demon Slayer. Momo in Dandadan.
The only way to let him do his business is for me to watch him doing it!
Then watch.
I am not watching him do his business!
I wouldn't let you anyway!
I voice Magic in Marvel Rivals, if you're playing Marvel Rivals.
It's not often two Hell Lords end up on the same side of a fight.
I also sing the theme song to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Lifelight.
I did not know that.
I know, a lot of people don't. I started telling people because
Nice.
people are always surprised.
How did you get into voice acting?
I was a theater major. I knew that I wanted to be an actor when I graduated college, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with that per se. So I applied to the JET program, which, have you heard of it?
I have not.
It is a teaching exchange program that's in Japan.
Wow. Actually, I have heard of that.
You have heard of it,
Yeah.
So I was sent to Akita, Japan, rural Japan.
Wow.
Where I spent 2 years teaching English as an assistant language teacher, just because I was trying to figure out, my life.
Yeah.
And I was having such a great time. Initially, I wanted to stay for 1 year. I stayed for 2. Then I realized oh yeah, acting and stuff. So I should probably get back to that. I moved to Tokyo to try to pursue acting in whatever capacity I could, meaning I was gigging, basically doing lounge singing or voiceover here and there for textbooks or commercial background work, whatever I could book. And there my main gig was doing children's shows on stage to teach kids English. They were these little musicals. I got to travel around Japan. It was a sweet gig. But that's where I got my first taste of voiceover. I got to do some character voices for these shows for puppets that we used in the shows, and also kigurumi characters. They're the giant, full body suit characters on stage.
Nice.
Really loved doing character voices, and I felt like maybe I had a knack for it or an ear for it. So I decided that I really wanted to pursue voiceover specifically as an actor. And also, I'm a huge nerd. I'm a fan of animation, video games, all of it. So I moved back to the States and I started taking voiceover classes. This is a long story, very long-winded story, but I promise you it has an end. Once I was back in the States, I found a contest online called Perfect Idol.
I've heard of that one.
You have?
Yeah.
It was hosted by Bang Zoom Entertainment.
I remember hearing about this.
Anime dubbing voice acting contest. I entered it, even though I was terrified and didn't know what I was doing. And I ended up winning this contest.
So cool.
Which opened up a lot of opportunities for me. I got to meet Mami Okada at Bang Zoom, casting director, and some other fantastic actors, directors, Patrick Seitz. Keith Silverstein was a judge. He's also a phenomenal voice actor. And since then, I've been working, steadily snowballing, trying to build up my career.
That's amazing.
The end.
That was actually amazing. That story is wild. Because it's funny, because even when I was in undergrad, I knew I wanted to do medicine. And then I was I kind of want to go live in Japan for a couple of years, just teach English. I feel like that'd be cool. And then I was I don't know if I should. And I know a lot of people who want to. And for a lot of them too, they want to do voice acting. And I wonder if that is an opportunity sort of for people because they're kind of immersed in the culture as well. They can get a little bit better understanding. They can brush up on their Japanese a little bit as well. Did you feel like that helped you?
It's weird because I would say you don't have to do JET program to become a voice actor. You don't have to know Japanese. You don't have to know Japanese culture per se. It can help for cultural context. When you're dubbing a character, obviously there's a lot of specifics in Japan. But I think it helped me more in the sense that if I had moved to Hollywood right out of college, I would have been eaten alive. I would have been chewed up, spat out on the sidewalk because I was just not ready as a human. I needed to gain my sense of self and independence, and moving to Japan by myself was a hugely, efficient way of doing that. You very quickly learn who you are, what you're about, how to survive on your own. And so for me, that whole journey living by myself in Japan was essential for me in my career because it shaped me and made me more confident as a person.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep. What role do you connect with the most? Because you've done so many iconic ones, and just now I'm learning you've done even music and all these intros. It's kind of crazy that you've done so much. Which one do you feel like you connect with?
That's such a hard question because
Top 3.
pretentious answer. As an actor, I connect with all of my characters. But I would say like right now, I really connect with Momo in Dandadan. She reminds me of when I was in high school. And Momo's very different from me personality-wise. She's very quick to anger, which I'm a very non-confrontational person. I don't ever yell. But she has a difficult time expressing her emotions, which is something that I can relate to, especially back in the day. And I think that that is one of the reasons that I got into acting to begin with, is because acting was like such an outlet for me to express myself. And I felt like freedom in being someone else because I was able to freely express my emotions through this outlet of acting. And so yeah, Momo and her little awkwardness of expression reminds me of that.
Going to Nezuko, how did you manage to voice such a complex character? Because you are actually kind of bringing a whole character personality, even when you're not necessarily doing like these complex lines sometimes.
Right, Nezuko doesn't have a lot to say, but when she does speak, it's usually very important, very impactful. And she's an interesting character too, because a lot of it is muffled noises in the script, muffled noises, grunt, kicking grunt. But it's an interesting character because there's different iterations of Nezuko. Like we have Nezuko as a human when the show starts out. Then we have Nezuko demonified. Then we have Chibi Nezuko when she's a little calmer, just ooh, ooh, and little noises here and there. Then there's fighting Nezuko, who's growling and kicking through the bamboo, which I will do sometimes by blocking my mouth with my finger to muffle it a little bit. Then we see like Nezuko transforms even more into like the demon form Nezuko with the horn, and she's even more aggressive and aggro and a little maniacal with her like crazy laughter as she's stomping on Daki. Then we see her evolve into Nezuko, spoiler alert, in the sun, and she's learning to speak again, basically like a baby, learning to talk. And I get to say some really funny lines in that whole sequence in the Swordsmith Village arc, which I love. But she has all of these different forms, including like the flashbacks of Tanjiro and visions he has of her. So while she doesn't speak a lot, she's a very fun character to voice because of all her different iterations and forms.
It's a lot more complex than some people might assume because of how much change she does have to go through throughout the series.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of wild.
Yeah.
So you've had one of probably the biggest roles of 2024, Momo from Dandadan.
Momo.
I was actually at Anime Inc. when I met Carrie Walgren, and it was the day before Dandadan had released. And so she wasn't really given any details at the time about it. And so, but everyone was already cosplaying. Everybody was already like up to her. It's like, we want to know everything. Tell us before. And of course, released the next day and everyone was even more excited. How's the reception been for you?
It's been crazy. So I didn't know about Dandadan until I got the audition. Then I read the manga because I was immediately like, what is this? This is awesome. I need to know the story. I wanted to know as much about Momo as possible going into it. But I did not expect the reception so quickly that every time I'm scrolling through, social media, I get so much Dandadan content, and I know it's targeting me. I know it knows the algorithm is catering to me, but it just blows my mind the amount of stuff out there. The fandom is already huge and so creative, and like the cosplays, again, they're immediately, like before it even came out, people are cosplaying. It's been overwhelming, but really awesome to see the reception of the show because I think it has a lot going for it, and I'm really excited about it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I can already tell you everyone else is also very excited about it.
Hey, season 2 coming in July.
Nice. And just to go a little bit more on a fun side, what is your favorite anime? It can be one you've acted or not, depending on how you want to play that.
Yeah, I always say, like, I go to Cowboy Bebop as kind of a default because it was one of the first animes I watched, and it's just like got such a cool vibe to it.
Yeah.
The tone of it. I love the tone of the whole show. I need to go back and rewatch because it's been a long time. Again, like if I were to watch it today, I don't know if I would say that was my favorite, but just because of the history of my life, I lean towards that. But if I get to pick a movie, Princess Mononoke is one of my favorites.
Good one.
Also, Millennium Actress by Satoshi Kon. I got to voice young Chiyoko in the dub of that, which was a thing that I never thought would happen because I was like, isn't there already a dub? But what? But I love that movie. It's beautiful. And so that one's really special to me because I love the movie and I got to be in it. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
What's an anime that you would want to be a voice in? It doesn't have to be like, you know, you're not stealing anyone's roles necessarily, but.
Right. It would be fun to be in the Dragon Ball universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What else? I don't know. So many.
Yeah.
Anything. Please hire me.
This isn't a small advertisement. This is just
Please hire me. I am an actor.
Do you have any upcoming roles that you can tell us about?
Yes. So I was trying to think of what I can talk about. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Infinity Castle movie part 1 is coming out this year. We don't know when yet, but stay tuned for that. Look out for that. Get caught up on the show if you're not already. I know some people have homework to do, but it's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
I'm just gonna say that. And then we have Dandadan season 2 coming out in July. Excited.
Everyone's already waiting for that one.
And then I'm gonna plug Date Everything. I think was also just slated for July later this year.
Really?
It was supposed to come out Valentine's Day, but we pushed the release date to later this year. So look for that this summer. I voiced Shelly the Shelf. It's a funny game where you can romance household objects. And they all have like personifications and characters to them. And the cast is insane. It's like so many of my friends are in it and they're all phenomenal and it's a good time.
Sounds like a good time.
Date everything.
Everyone's dream. Yeah.
Everyone's dream. Date a shelf, yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for chatting with me.
Of course.